so next character we're gonna get through is Yanfei, which I really miss her. I think I gravitated immediately to Yanfei because we got the Serenity Pot quest, which was basically her unofficial character quest, and then I got to use her. So I got to know her as I was using her. Personally, that's how I bond a lot with like characters, is like I need a semblance of attachment to them, and it usually has to be something personal for them. Yanfei is another character that I really like. I think she's one of the best pyro characters that I've used in the game. I think I prefer her over someone like Klee. Her birthday, July 28th. It is currently July 23rd at the time of me recording. So her birthday's in 5 days. So we're going to get her birthday card pretty soon. She's affiliated with Liyue Harbor with the Pyro Vision. She's also an Illuminated beast. A well-known legal advisor active in Liyue Harbor. A brilliant young lady in whose veins runs the blood of an Illuminated beast. Character details. Liyue is a port that prizes contracts and trade and is a place where wealth accumulates. Merchants from various nations are active here, which has contributed to Liyue's abundance, but has also brought up many disagreements. The Tianquan Ningguang has written a pretty comprehensive compendium of laws to deal with this, but not everyone has the patience to study it. Thus was born the role of the legal advisor in Liyue society. Highly familiar with Liyue's laws, they help those in need to navigate any contradictions, earning recompense for their efforts. Yanfei is a premier legal advisor in Liyue Harbor. She's always been able to obtain the most benefits for her clients, insofar as the law will allow. Some even call her the law that walks. But in truth, what Yanfei, one of the few half-illuminated beasts who has yet to earn a contract with Rex Lapis, really wants to do is live a free and happy life. As for the copy of the general laws of Liyue she carries around her in person, Yanfei has this to say: if you don't wish to be bound by the rules, you have to first understand them all. That's actually pretty true. Character story 1. As the most sought-after legal advisor in Liyue Harbor, Yanfei's rates are also top of the line. Even so, she never lacks for people's coming to seek appointments. After all, merchants are not stingy about mediation fees, but are very picky indeed about the mediator. Money is no object. We must have Yanfei come and settle this matter for us. At any rate, Yanfei is in fashion, not only for her quick thinking and her masterful oratory, but also because she very greatly emphasizes the cornerstones of law: fairness. Her mediations often end with win-win situations, and even merchants with daggers drawn will temporarily set their prejudices aside. Though she is unbound by the contract, Yanfei has made her own contributions to the peace and prosperity of Liyue. Yeah, so we did that entire quest with the fake earrings or whatever, and the guy was like, yeah, you gotta pay 10 times the amount because these are Noctilucus Nephrite or whatever, and she basically like dismantled that guy's entire sense of being, made it very clear that she is a top class at her job. Character story 2. As a legal advisor, Yanfei does have her fair share of weaknesses. An example is the mediation of civil disputes that involve emotions and relationships, divorce, inheritances, custody disputes, senior care, severances. The list continues. It is said that upright officials are hapless in household affairs, and so it also is with Yanfei, who grew up surrounded by love. These matters fall right into her blind corner. Sometimes she will find that both sides have reason on their side, and other times she will find that both are unreasonable. Child custody disputes are the worst, as no matter how she settles them, the settlement will have a great psychological impact on the innocent child. Even if Yanfei chooses to soldier on, she will only tire herself out. Hopefully everyone can meet the right person and be spared this particular grief. You know, when it comes down to the law, you just have to be logical, objective. But when it comes to livelihoods, when it comes to like the livelihood of another person, you can't help but have that type of emotional attachment that comes with being a human, having emotions for other human beings. In that respect, I can see how that would weigh down on anybody in the legal field. Definitely understand how that can be a weakness for Yanfei. Character story 3. As a result of her greatly tolerant nature, Yanfei has a wide variety of personal relationships throughout Liyue. There is no need to worry about rubbing a sore spot, and you'll be able to get along with her whether you're an avid conversationalist or not. Of course, this is true as long as you don't attempt to debate with her or start a conversation about legal profession. Yanfei in work mode is a completely different beast to deal with. Additionally, Yanfei cultivated the habit of being overly rigorous from her long years of studying the law. When chatting, Yanfei will vigorously eliminate any ambiguity or loopholes present in the discourse and can seem like a bit of a chatterbox. When she realizes this, Yanfei is wont to knock herself on the head with a book in irritation. However, so long as she constantly bathes in the sea of legal literature, this habit will probably be hard to break. Long story short, she loves what she does so much that it bleeds into her natural affairs of interacting with other people, which is a good thing, but it tends to take over from time to time, which I think that's endearing for her character. Character story 4. When investigating the law, Yanfei's habit is to look past the cold letters of the law to perceive their point of origin. communication. As such, she is also something of a master of reading comprehension in her relationships. That's another thing too. A lot of people suffer reading comprehension. They read what they want to read and not what's actually there. Once the traveler met Yanfei by chance and said, huh? Didn't expect to see you here. That should have been a line that one might hear just about anywhere, but it wound up holding a completely different meaning for Yanfei. Didn't expect to meet you here implies that the traveler had at least thought about a scenario in which they would meet. Then why the use of didn't expect? Oh my god. That's looking way too much into it. But then again, it makes perfect sense. One could only postulate that the traveler had some expectations of where she might appear and that her current location was not such a place. But whence came the expectations? Could it be that the traveler had always been paying attention to her in secret? Does that mean that the traveler, Yanfei, tossed and turned in bed that night, unable to sleep? Yeah, that's literally the definition of thinking about something you said 4 years ago and how it made you feel in that time and stressing over it now. Damn, that one person really pissed me off 3 years ago. Like, what? But obviously it's more recent. This is more so like if you had an interaction with someone and then you go home and then you think over all the things you said and how you could have said it differently, and if you made a fool of yourself and you're hyper analyzing everything you did after the fact. That's super relatable. I could picture Yanfei doing that to a T. Character story 5. Yanfei's most prized possession is the steel yard balance that her father gave her. It is said that the balance was a treasure given by Rex Lapis, could be used to measure the value of all things. For convenience, Yanfei tends to use Mora to balance the scales, which is to say that she uses Mora to evaluate objects. The price of many objects has slowly changed over the years, but weighing an object with this balance only gives its value at the time Mora was created, leaving the rest to Yanfei to exercise her own wisdom and judgment. Across the measurements of countless objects, Yanfei is able to see the changes in Liyue. Some objects that were once common have become vanishingly rare, and some exotic objects of the past have been rendered pedestrian today. This steel yard balance reminds her that many things cannot be valued by the standard of the world. Yanfei once tried to weigh the value of a vision, but no matter how much more she added, the scale would not be balanced. In frustration, she placed on the scale the box on her waist, which contains her heavily written legal notations. Only then did the weight at last even out. Is that like weighing its weight or weighing its value? That's pretty nuts. Oh, it weighs its value. Okay. Damn, so a vision is valued at the same rate of the law. At least maybe to her. That's still pretty cool. Codex Fatalum. This is the most special of the many legal treaties that Yanfei collects. As opposed to the codices that have grown heavy and more complicated with time, this book is unbelievably light and thin. After opening it and getting past the prologue, one will find not but the most basic few principles of the law inscribed. As Yanfei sees it, this is the final form of the law. In the far future, the law will be entered into the people's hearts. All people will be amiable, modest, and live happy in this world. The halls of judgment will lie empty, and the mountain legalese will be caked in years of dust. Though this may sound like something very far off, for someone like Yanfei, in whom flows the blood of an illuminated beast, living until that day is hardly a great accomplishment. But if I can think about it more deeply, I'd be out of a job then, wouldn't I? After encountering one of Xinyan's performances by chance, Yanfei was quite taken by the new wave of performance art. Yay, at least someone comes to appreciate Xinyan finally. That said, learning the instrument from scratch proved to be a bit difficult, so after consulting a great many resources, Yanfei came to what she considered to be a decent backup plan. If that day were to arrive, she would just become a rapper. For someone who can recite tens of thousands of words worth of Liyue law from front to back within an hour, speed at least would be no challenge. Yo, rap goddess, confirmed. Rap adeptus, actually. Dude, if they repurpose Yanfei and give her like a rapper aesthetic, you got Barbara singing, you got Xinyan on guitar, Yanfei rapping over here. That's too good. Holy shit. Okay, Yanfei's vision. Yanfei's father is an illuminated beast, while her mother is an ordinary mortal merchant. Born into peaceful times, Yanfei did not sign a contract with Rex Lapis, but instead has one with her parents to live happily. As Liyue's leading legal exegete, she is no stranger to exploiting some existing loopholes in the law, at times for herself and sometimes for others. It has been made clear often enough that Yanfei is not a stickler for the rules and has no wish to be shackled by strictures. Still, she contributes to the betterment of Liyue as she seeks her own pleasure and will not use these loopholes for ill. She makes amendments to legal loopholes each year. Ningguang the Tianquan will often study Yanfei's doings as if they were Liyue's unofficial legal troubleshooter. troubleshooter. In a sense, one could argue that Yanfei makes the law better at the lowest possible price. This principle is also the reason why she has never been convicted of exploiting any such loophole. Yanfei believes in no structure without law. What she wishes for is to live as one pleases without overstepping. Everyone in Liyue, adeptus or mortal, protects it in their own way. This is why Yanfei possesses a vision, one that is of equal weight to her principles. And that's why it evens out with her big book of law. It's one and the same. One helps maintain the other in equal balance. And I think that's super cool for her.
My name is Yanfei, top legal expert in Liyue. And for the avoidance of doubt, no one else comes close. From commercial litigation to civil mediation to criminal lawsuits, I'm fully versed in every area of the law, and I guarantee you a swift and satisfactory conclusion to your case. My contact details? Where should I write this down? Paper will just get lost, and it'll only rub off if I write it on the back of your hand, so... Aha! I know. I'll just write it here on the close of this... whatever this thing is that follows you around.
She's writing it on Paimon? What the hell?
I'll remind you again. The law can be both a help and a hindrance.
Damn, I love her voice. Lizzie Freeman, great job, amazing job.
Sometimes the law is compatible with human nature, but sometimes the two conflict. Balancing the two is a discipline in its own right.
Nice.
The case before us is a strange and unprecedented one indeed.
She sounds very bubbly when she talks. Like she just loves doing what she does.
Rain! Oh, Lord of Geo, please do us a favor and clear this up at your earliest convenience. I submit that we cannot afford for the codices to get damp.
Yeah, her book would get damp if it rains. Yeah, she says that a lot.
What kind of injurious weather is this? It's... cold. This weather's got me in the mood for reciting some laws. Let's see. Commercial Law of Liyue, Chapter 27, Section 6, Article 3 stipulates that... Wait, what was it?
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness, I've completely forgotten. What is wrong with me today?
God, I love her, dude. She's so good.
I have to head out this morning to meet a client about a creditor dispute, but I also have to follow up on a consultation from last week by noon.
Jesus.
All right, time to get to work. Ooh, I'm a little sleepy.
At noon?
I know. A vigorous debate should wake me up, and I've got just the topic. The Northland Bank's presence in Liyue does more harm than good for our economy.
Yep.
So, are you for or against?
I'm for that for sure, because that's all like Shneznaya money, and they're like trying to like rule the world and take all the gnosis and change the fate of everything and everyone, and they basically just move in on your economy.
The night market? I was planning on organizing some files this evening, but if you're going, I can join you. Oh, I should mention, lots of vendors go for the hard sell in the evenings because they want to be able to start with fresh produce the next day, but also don't want to lose profit on what they have left today. So leave the negotiating to me, and if you have any leftovers, those can be my fee.
That's really smart. You want to make the top dollar the fresher your product is, but at the end of the day, you'll take anything just to get it off your hands.
Need a cure for insomnia? Let me read you the history of the development of Liyue's legal system.
Yeah, that's boring enough to put you to sleep.
You want something more fast-acting?
Oh, boy.
Then I'll recite from the legal codices. Let me know in the morning which section I got to before you fell asleep. Okay, here I go.
Jesus, this is so funny.
You think I come across as quite imposing when I'm reading through case files? Huh. Well, that's only when I'm in work mode. It's like I have an invisible switch. Flick it one way and I'm in normal mode. Flick it the other way and I switch to work mode. Surely you must have a switch like that too.
I think everyone has a bit of a switch. It's great how she's self-aware of that.
Civil cases are the ones I dread the most. Divorces, custody disputes. It's a thankless task trying to unpack these kinds of cases with logic and reason. You have to be kind, courteous, and patient with your clients, even though half the time they are completely incapable of participating in a constructive discussion. I know I advertise myself as being fully versed in every area of the law, but honestly, if it were up to me, I'd rather everyone could just get along so we wouldn't have so many of these cases.
Damn, so many? Are many people getting divorced? I love how she like got a little furious over here.
You want legal advice from me? Sure. For legal opinions, I charge a flat rate of 6,000 mora. For advisory services, my hourly rate is 180,000 mora. And for commercial law, I charge 710,000 mora per case. Final quote and commission rate depending on the details of your case. Not a bad deal, right?
I mean, I can afford it. She must be loaded, dude. She must be absolutely stacked with money. For that price, it's worth it because 9 times out of 10, you'll win.
If you're concerned about what kind of complicated issues you might get tied up in during your travels, your best bet is to bring someone with you who knows and understands the law. Someone like me, for example, whose expertise goes beyond just the law of Liyue. Well, actually, having said that, Fontaine's law is notoriously complicated. Though, with my level of intelligence, getting acquainted with it should be no problem. Anyway, my point is, you can always rely on me.
Yeah, let's bring a pyro character to the land of water. You might do good with the law, but battling there might... I mean, you'll get some good vaporizes, I guess.
Visions appear in response to strong desire. So as someone with ideals, it's only natural that I should have received one. Because above all, I wish for all people to live honest lives and abide by the law. But some people will always insist on playing by their own rules and causing havoc for everyone else. Those people can expect to be prosecuted so hard they won't know what hit them.
And I'll be right there to drop the freaking banhammer on them.
This steelyard balance was a gift from my father. It weighs objects to determine their value. I usually use Mora for the weight, but it can only give the original price. For example, 1,000 years ago, Liyue was covered in glaze lilies, and they weren't worth anything in monetary terms.
Now they're rare.
Then, when they suddenly declined a number, the price shot up in response. But the value shown by the steelyard wasn't updated. It still shows them as their original value. In other words, dirt cheap. So, most of the time, this isn't a very useful tool for work purposes. Huh? You want to try weighing something? How about we could weigh your little friend here? Will that do?
Like 1 more apiece is worth more than Paimon. That'd be really funny.
I have a self-defense method that I call Wrath of the Flame, based on a punishment called the Wrath of the Rock, which is detailed in the ancient work, The Comprehensive Compendium of Liyue Law.
Yeah.
The Lord of Geo is the god of contracts, and contracts, too, can be seen as a way of restraining people. Ergo, Liyue Harbor has been the city of contracts since time immemorial.
Wrath of the Flame. I thought that was gonna be like the Pyro Archon's like law or whatever.
The Historia Naturalis Liyue has an entry about a waterborne plant called the horsetail. It claims that the horsetail is a medicinal herb that stands alone on the banks of Dihua Marsh. Its color is that of the clouds at sunset. Apparently, if you grind it into a powder and mix it into your ink, it makes your writing water resistant.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's a shame. I've been to Dihua Marsh at least 100 times, and each time I end up with baskets and baskets of the common purple variety, but not a single one of the kind that the book describes.
Like the red wolfhook berries. I've never seen red ones, but apparently those exist, so.
I heard that little herb gatherer has written out a whole set of behavioral rules for herself. She may be small, but boy, has she got her head screwed on. She's definitely destined for greatness. The young of today shall outperform us tomorrow, as they say. I must admit, she has my respect.
Her head's definitely screwed on despite being a zombie. Most of the time their heads are like dangling off. She's far from young. Just get that out of the way right now.
Ganyu is kind and thoughtful. It's just a shame she's so busy all the time. Most of the time, she's buried in an endless pile of paperwork, the only exception being her nap at noon. Don't get me wrong, I have to put in some hours at work too. But I'm happy with the job I've chosen, and it's certainly a lot less taxing than hers.
For some reason, I assume that all of the characters within the legal system and the government system of Liyue know each other to an extent. Ningguang, Keqing, Ganyu, Yanfei, Zhongli, 2 of them are Adepti, so I expect them to know each other to that capacity. And then like Zhongli was the former Geo Archon, but I don't think Yanfei knows that Zhongli is Rex Lapis because she was never a part of the contracts and that was before her time. I just always figured that like it'd be super cool if all of them interacted to that degree.
The Feiyun Commerce Guild is one of my oldest clients. Their approach to business is meticulous and thorough, and every business meeting I've had with them has always been attended by the head of the house himself. Last time, though, I happened to meet their youngest, Xingqiu. To my complete surprise, the lad had no trouble whatsoever keeping up with my train of thought.
Hell yeah.
He was very eloquent, too, and had excellent manners. Definitely not a simpleton.
My boy Xingqiu out here. Ooh, Hu Tao.
I always hear people saying that the director of the Wangsheng Funeral Parlor has an unorthodox approach to business. They think she's gone a little non-compos mentis after being in the funeral business so long. What are these people talking about? The Wangsheng Funeral Parlor provides a legitimate and necessary service, which is the cornerstone of any successful enterprise. Work is just work. There are no good and bad jobs or lucky and unlucky jobs. Just jobs that need doing.
True.
If I had one gripe, it would be that the director rarely comes to me for legal advice.
Yeah, I can't make a profit off of the funeral parlor.
Mr. Zhongli has so much in-depth knowledge on so many topics. He's like a walking library, you know what I mean? He's a total savant, though he never flaunts it. I could tell just by looking at him.
True.
People like him rarely shy away from taking on complex problems alone. So in my estimation, he's certainly not a potential client. And yet, somehow, I can't help but think I know him from somewhere. It's hard to describe the feeling.
Yeah.
I asked my father about it, and he just said something to the effect of he didn't know either. Though he seemed a little evasive.
Yeah.
It was so strange. Anyway, makes me wonder if my father is hiding something from me.
Uh-oh.
All right then. If he won't tell me what's going on, I'll just have to find out for myself.
That's your Lord and Savior, Geodaddy. You dodged a bullet not having to take his contract.
You must have heard of the Tianquan Ningguang. She's the highest authority where the law is concerned, and often makes amendments to the legal codices. Every round of additions, retractions, and revisions generates mountains of material. Why, the latest edition of the legal codices contained 3 new laws, 121 revised legal annotations, and an array of new legal precedents. Archons know how long it's going to take me to commit them to memory. Still, she's a businesswoman at heart. I'm not about to let her beat me when it comes to the law. Once I finish memorizing these, I need to step up my productivity.
Gosh, I love how feisty she gets with, obviously, her work and being up to snuff with everything.
The Yuheng doesn't deal with matters of the law, and thank goodness. Knowing Keqing's attitude toward work and ruthless efficiency, I'd end up losing a lot of work. Although... No, surely it wouldn't come to that. She's a stickler for doing things the right way. No doubt she'd offend people. But if she had someone like me as her legal assistant... No way. Why should an eminent legal expert such as myself be relegated to the role of assistant? If she needs legal counsel, she can come and find me.
Nothing's too big or small for Yanfei. She's not gonna stoop down.
Eula saved me once, and we've kept up correspondence ever since. She's very familiar with the Knights of Favonius' legislation, but has never been one to be bound by convention. She uses cunning logic to deal with problems flexibly. Perhaps the reason we get along so easily is that I'm a similar type myself. Still, I'll never acquire that carefree spirit of hers. We are in very different professions, after all.
Yeah, so I did remember that she saved an Adeptus. I believe that was also in her character lore as well. And I initially was like, I wonder if it was Yanfei, because they both came out one after the other. Like, Yanfei came out, and then Eula came out, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's actually really cool.
A client? Very pleased to meet you. Here's my card. I'm afraid I can't leave my desk today. If it's a dispute we're dealing with, then please bring the relevant parties here to see me. Let me just give you a breakdown of my fees. One moment. Huh? You came just to chat? No fee necessary then. So just to clarify, you came to chat as friends with a legal expert that you've never met before. Care to explain?
I like meeting new people.
These antlers? Oh, well, my father is an Adeptus, so I have Adeptus blood myself. Still, I was born during peacetime here in Liyue. I never signed a contract with Rex Lapis. Naturally, I don't have to concern myself with adeptal affairs. I'm free to focus on the life I want to live. Works for me. Contracts of that magnitude, lifelong commitments, I've only ever signed one with my father. It's about living happily, I suppose. That's the kind of person he is. I'm proud of him for that. If he'd wanted me to sign a different contract, say, one about working myself into the ground, or stepping on others to achieve success, I would have ran away by now.
At least she's honest about it, you know?
Sometimes the commercial disputes I handle don't end very pleasantly. The other party might win compensation way in excess of the damages, or pay damages far exceeding the costs. Such is the price of violating a contract. Some people say I'm pretty terrifying. Others try to avoid me altogether. But I don't need to explain myself to anyone. Since the very beginning, the welfare of Liyue has been my primary concern.
Okay.
Think about it. The origin of disputes can be traced back to the violation of contracts. People are a lot less likely to violate contracts when they see the fallout. Making sure that people realize the importance of contracts is a crucial part of my work.
I remember that one quest with Zhongli and God of Salt. That one guy was like, nah, I'm taking both of these treasures. He was like, you have invoked the wrath of the rock. And he's like, so what are you gonna do about it? Invoke the wrath of the rock. And then the other girl was like, oh, I gotta stick to this because I don't want to break my contract.
Most of the time, I feel that I have a happy and laid-back existence. I have a successful career, clothes on my back, and the freedom to go wherever I please. I've also got quite a way with words. Nobody can beat me in a debate, and yet there is no law or standard that can define a happy life. For me, interesting people and engaging affairs, knowing where to go and which path to choose, these are all enough to bring me happiness. And on that note, you too are a source of happiness for me. In any case, whatever the life you live, the most important thing is to respect and understand the law. After all, as soon as you stray from the law, the world begins to fall to ruin.
That is true. Law and order will prevail. All right, hobbies.
My hobbies are reading and appraisal. Reading begets knowledge, appraisal improves judgment. As such, I read everything and appraise anything. If you don't believe me, bring something over sometime. If there's a market for it, my estimate won't be far off. Take this stone, for example. Must be, 600 mora.
600 mora for a rock? Dude, I'm about to be a rock collector in this game too.
My friends from the communications office often get me to go fishing with them. They say it's to exchange angling tips, but deep down, everyone's keen to show off. I've gotten the better of everyone 100 different ways, but they continue to scrutinize my business. After so much success, it's gotten a little embarrassing. So every time, I end up taking advantage of my ingenious acting skills to make myself seem humble, you know? What's with the face? Are you doubting me?
Oh boy, that's funny.
Oh, on that note, let me recommend my one true love, tofu. Tofu all the way. Light in flavor, tender in texture, not to mention smooth and nourishing. It goes well with all manner of soups and dishes, and more importantly, it's available throughout the seasons. Beauty over complexity. Tofu dishes are my kind of flavor.
I've never had tofu before. I don't even know if it has like a flavor or if it's just more for like the texture and just to have a substitute. I'd like to try it someday.
I don't like cold dishes. Maybe it's because I rarely eat them. When I would get home late, my father used to keep a lantern lit for me. He'd hear me coming and ask me if I was hungry. In his words, the best dishes are served hot.
Your father's a wise man, I agree.
Do not seek to emulate the past, for there is no law that can suffice for all time. This is a lesson I must always bear in mind. Only by adhering to the law can the people solve life's myriad of problems.
True, true.
Studying the law allows one to have grounded conversations, whilst learning martial arts allows one to prevail against groundless violence. Hey, wait a minute. Does this count as martial arts?
Interesting. And lastly.
Well, I guess I've mastered both the pen and the sword.
Oh, gosh.
I've been lucky to have you with me through to the end of my training. Compensation? A 24-hour specialist personal advisor?
Oh boy.
Sounds good. But no haggling.
We got a free advisor on our side, ladies and gentlemen, and all it took was Max ascending her. Let's go. We take those. I love Yanfei. Love her personality. There's a lot of legal mumbo-jumbo that, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily agree to the fullest extent, but I try to immerse myself as best I can because she is a character that I really enjoy. I love playing as her. I love her personality. I love that we got to learn a lot about her as I was learning to use her when I pulled for her during 1.5. Yeah, I think Lizzie Freeman does a really great job of bringing this character to life. Bubbly personality, bubbly nature, especially her manner of speaking more than anything. That is the wrap up for Yanfei. Really, really liked her as well.